I drive around the North End. I've been doing that a lot. The streets are beautiful. I see no trash. You drive from, say, President Avenue south, it's a complete different world. Why? Is it because most of the city councilors and mayors have been from the North End?
Welcome to the Bobby Kudo Show, where we dive into the fascinating world of human experiences and excellence. With special guests, real-life anecdotes, and thought-provoking discussions. Get ready to unlock and tap into your absolute potential with your host, manifestation coach, Bobby Kudo.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome episode 98 of the Bobby Kudo Show. It is my pleasure coming to you from Studio B with Louis Melim, City Council, right? Coming up, right? So a lot of people might not know this about you, but born in 1951.
Correct.
And you were born in the Azores.
I was born in Santa Maria, the airport in Santa Maria, which was an Air Force base, U.S. Air Force base at the time.
Yeah, that's amazing, right? And so how does that all happen? So how do you end up there?
Well, my parents, who were from Madeira, came to work at the airport. And so most of my brothers and sisters were born there.
No kidding. Wow. And back then it was very scarce, right? Work was work. And, I know that my mom and my parents and my grandparents, they all came here because they were looking for work. They were searching for opportunity, right? So I imagine that your parents are working at the airport. This is very important to them. So you go from Madeira, you're born in the Azores, and then everyone comes to Fall River.
No.
No?
The whole family went to
Taunton. I love this.
Went to Taunton.
Okay, all right.
And they still live in Taunton, most of them.
Okay.
I chose to live in Fall River. I came afterwards. I was in high school back in the Azores. I finished high school, then I came over. My parents were already here in Taunton, and I lived in Taunton for a little while, but then I decided Fall River was my kind of town.
All right, great. And so you come here, you realize this is where you want to be, and then is it the textile industry that keeps you here?
It was for the first couple of years. Then the military came up.
Okay, all right.
So I got drafted to the Army. I didn't want to go into the Army.
So this is Vietnam? This is like Vietnam era, just so people have an idea. Yes. Okay, all right.
So I didn't want to go to the Army. I joined the Navy instead and spent 6 years, 2 active and 4 reserve.
Where did you serve?
All over the world.
No kidding.
But mostly in Florida.
Oh, really?
Yes, but pretty much Europe, Asia, all over.
And so, what was your duties? What were you?
Well, I can only say so much about it.
Okay, all right.
But I was in an aircraft carrier.
Wow.
In the aviation department.
No kidding. And so you do 6 years? You said 6 years?
2 active and 4 reserve.
Okay, and then you realize, okay, well, my service here is done. What comes next for you? Where do you end up?
Well, while I was doing reserves, which was basically a weekend a month, I went to school. I went to Boston University, got a degree there, came back to the area, was teaching high school for a couple of years, then went to a graduate school and took over the human resources area. And that's what I did for a living for 25 years.
Wow, no kidding. So what drives you through all this, right, Louis? Because you're moving all this time. You're constantly moving. What is it?
I don't know how to stop. That's the problem.
Yeah.
I am actually retired, but
I read that, but I didn't believe it when I went through the whole list.
But always busy.
Yeah.
And now that I've got plenty of time, I want to give the city of Fall River and its citizens some time. I want a better Fall River. A Fall River that made me love it and move it. Therefore, I'll do everything I can to make the city a better place to live.
So can we take a step back here real quick?
Sure.
So we mentioned earlier you ran for mayor, right?
Yes.
What was happening then that inspired you to do that? Why? What you said? Hey, listen, obviously we know you care about the city, but there had to be something that's saying to you, like, you know what? I think I can do better.
Well, I think 7, 8, 9 years ago, the city started to go backwards. In terms of what was going on, in terms of evolution, nothing was happening, and that's not my type of person. Yeah. I want excitement. I want a city that is liked by everyone. We have so many possibilities, and nothing was being done. So I did that then, and I'm still doing that for the same reason.
Right.
A lot of potential, but no action. I've always been a person that could get people with different opinions and with disagreements into a consensus. And I think that's tremendously important if we want Fall River to be a better place than it is now, or at least move it back to when it was great.
Sure. So can we talk maybe about some of your relationships, right?
Sure.
So I know that you're involved with the union quite a bit, right? There's obviously the work union, and then there's a lot of building and things that are happening in the city. Do you think that your relationships could help us move forward and build, like, because, like 79 is going to be a huge project, right? There's a lot of building going to be taking place. Do you think that your relationships will help with that?
Obviously, I worked at Roger Williams University for many years.
Yeah.
Worked with 5 unions, as a matter of fact, and never had a problem. Always got to a consensus where everyone gained as much as possible without having the feeling of we lost something. We didn't. I was perhaps one of the few that went down the city and requested a copy of the master plan for the waterfront. I've read it page to page. It's a beautiful piece of art. If we can get that through, and I hope we do, and I'm going to do everything I can to make sure that it does, we're going to have the best waterfront in the state of Massachusetts.
So, Louis, are you referring to an actual plan that's built right now, that an actual, like, livable, workable plan right now? Is it in place? Because I hear...
There's a master plan.
I hear the master plan, but then I hear other ideas. Like, people are saying that, like, they really want to morph it into more of a shopping community as opposed to a neighborhood. How do you feel about that?
Well, it's a combination of both.
Okay.
The master plan is a combination of both. And that's what's so good about it, because we need both. And we need some kind of entertainment in the waterfront.
Sure.
All of that is in there. A lot of people just talk about it, but they haven't read it. The plan is a masterpiece as far as I'm concerned.
Okay.
And I think that if we can all work together and make it happen, it's going to be a great asset for the city of Fall River.
So, obviously, Mayor Coogan is incumbent, and then we have Boomer Ameral, who is running. And in November, possibly we could have Coogan in, and then I think we're very aware of where Coogan stands as far as the waterfront and things that we go. But Boomer might be a little different in his thoughts and his ideas. So my question to you is if in fact you have to deal with a new mayor, and that might have some different ideas. Are you open to negotiating? Are you open to
obviously,
like these new ideas?
Obviously, everything in life is a matter of negotiations. Lots of people have different ideas.
Yeah.
All I'm saying is that master plan is a terrific beginning. And then obviously we have to discuss and agree on a final thing. But it's going to take 10 years. It's not something that's going to be done overnight.
Yeah, so a lot of criticism comes from, hey, we already have enough apartments, right? We're going to build more apartments and more apartments. How do you see this working out? I mean, in your opinion, do you think it's a good idea to continue building more housing? I mean, because they're actually building another 52 units over on where Slade Street there, Bedford Street, where Sabre Auto is. Do you think we continue on this, or is it like, do you need some type of throttle to be like, okay, well, populace equals residency, right?
Yes.
Are we going to push our residents out?
We can't afford to do that. As a matter of fact, I believe that the population of Fall River has been increasing over the last 5 years. Not counted for yet, but they're here.
Yep.
And then obviously, with a flux of people into the city, the rents are high.
Sure.
Do we need more apartments? Yes, we do. Do we need the $5,000 a month apartments? No, we don't. How do you manage that?
Right.
Well, you manage by building something that's within the law, and a lot of them have been built not within the law, and that's not good. And then you do it at an affordable rate so people can afford. There's a whole bunch of things that together could help the future of the city. When you talk about building apartments, you could also talk about taxation.
Yep.
When you build new apartments, they bring income to the city, taxes. I think it's time that, for example, we look at the elderly and review the tax breaks that they got. Not enough. I'd love to see our senior citizens live in their homes and enjoy life as it is, not in old folks' home without family, without neighbors per se. All of that can be done. If we're building these apartments, there's money coming in.
Sure.
I have a hard time understanding how we went from $200 and some million to close to $500 million budget, when in reality I don't see anything that justifies that increase.
Agreed. And and I think the infrastructure is at an all-time low. I think if you just drive around the city, you can see it. And again, I only mention these things, and I mention it as a citizen. I'm not calling anybody out. I'm not saying it's anybody's fault. What I'm saying is my perception and what am I experiencing here is that things are not easy. Things are difficult. And if I'm an investor, if I'm somebody that's looking to build and I want to invest into a city or a community like Fall River, because Fall River is a great place to put your money, no matter how you look at it. We have a lot of pride here. We have a lot of culture here. And I think the melting pot of culture is what really drives the motivator here, right? Where people want to invest in nice things. So I think to myself, wow, if you look at Flint, and I think Flint is the low-hanging fruit. I think you can drive to the Flint and be like, wow, remember what this used to be? You know what? I challenge that. Let's go to North Main Street. You know what I mean? Like if you go to Dunny's, right? Dunby, and you drive 10 feet from there, it's empty. Everything's empty. You have all these empty buildings, and again, what used to be what I would call, the education district, right? You had the library, such this beautiful building, and bringing some of that culture in, and it's not. It's the YMCA, and it's just empty parking lots, and you almost wonder, would we need some type of process where we start to restructure the city and saying, hey, the south end is this, the north end is this, the highlands is this, and the Flint is this, making them pockets of investments, right?
I agree. I'd like to see investors invest in areas like North Main Street, like the Flint, and parts of the south end of the city as well. Mm-hmm. That's where we drive by and notice there's not much going on. Mm-hmm. And that's not the Fall River that you and I know,
right,
or have known over the years.
No. It's stagnant. It's
very stagnant,
yeah.
and we need to move forward. I'm not one of those people who's going to come here and criticize anybody that's in public
it's not criticism.
office.
Yeah, it's not criticism.
That's not my business.
It's like identifying the problem first.
Exactly.
Exactly.
All I'm saying is if you want movement, if you want things to get going, I'm your candidate. I'm that type of guy who never stops and who fights for the right thing for everyone, not for a particular group. I don't want to give tax breaks just to a particular group of friends or a particular investor. If I'm going to do that, it's to everyone that qualifies under the law. And we don't do much of that at all.
Yeah, you really can't pick and choose. Like, it's got to be fair for everybody.
Exactly.
I'm a strong believer in flat tax too. I like flat tax. I think flat tax is a good idea, but that's a conversation for another day. Let's talk a little bit about education.
Sure.
I think being in the city, I think it's an amazing situation already. The idea, we have places like BCC. Durfee's a great place. Diamond as well. You have a lot of educators, teachers. Do you think it's possible to even, as a city councilman, right? You're a city councilman, let's just say for our conversation, and you're given an opportunity to say, hey, listen, let's provide maybe free education to our residents. Maybe you have students with GPAs that are deserving of maybe some free college tuition. Do you think that's something that would be considered? Do you think that's something that is even possible?
Well, it's not impossible. It's not a typical city councilor's job to do that, but as a person and as a citizen who believes in education,
exactly.
I think we need to get involved.
Yep.
Because without an education these days, it's very hard to have success. I have 3 kids. I know what education means.
Yep.
I work nights in a mill in order to go to school in Boston during the days, long 4 years.
Yeah.
So I know the value of it, and I think everyone deserves that. And, sometimes kids don't go, not because they don't want to go, because they don't have the talent or the GPA is not that great. No, they go, they can't afford it.
Yep.
So it should be free. Places like Bristol Community College should be absolutely free for everyone. And it can be. The state has enough money to do that.
I agree.
We need to work with the state legislature, the Senate, and the House of Representatives to get more money into education. Not just BCC, but Durfee as well,
sure,
and all the other schools.
Sure.
I know the state pumps in quite a bit of money into the educational system of the city, but they should and could do a lot more.
Sure. And I mention this because, I believe that an educated citizen is a strong citizen, right?
Absolutely.
So I think, granted, we've been through quite a bit over the last couple of years. I think COVID really impacted us as a civilization and even the education system, right? A lot of these kids for a long time were learning from home, and I think it really affected that. And I think that, if we expect that, let's just say, Louis, let's just say 10 years from now, right? We expect strong citizens that are going to show up to vote for our politicians and for our government system because it is the fiber of our civilization, right?
Absolutely.
So I say this, and recently we had the primaries, and just kind of segueing into this, 7% of the population, so 90,000 residents, 7% showed up for the primaries. To me, one or two things, Louis.
I was very disappointed.
Very disappointed,
Very
right?
disappointed.
Either you don't know, either you just don't know, or you just don't care. I had Will Flanagan sitting in that chair yesterday, and he said, Bobby, that 7%, those are the pumpers of the city. Those are the people that genuinely have the ear to the ground and care. Outside of that, people don't really care.
If you look at those 7%, you will see that those people have voted every single time over the last 20 years. And that's a problem. That's a problem. I don't know what the solution is. I know the city tried to advertise a little bit by putting banners all over the city. It didn't work.
No, it didn't work.
It didn't work.
Didn't work.
There's other things we can do. For example, I went to vote at 1C. There was no place to park. There should be no school. Election day, no school at all. So people can go and park. And, some of the elderly, for example, have a hard time walking.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
The parking lot was full of school teachers. And this is like 9 o'clock in the morning. Unacceptable.
Right.
It's not that difficult to just say there's no school election day.
Yeah, exactly. Make room for everybody. David made a good point the other day. He's like, Bobby, everybody should have the day off. Like, you shouldn't have to go to work. Election day, you should be able to go to do an election and not have to worry about anything else. I believe it's worth it. I believe it's something that should be considered. But to your point, parking in the city, again, infrastructure, right? Like
it's not there.
I drove by Sauge the other day. I like Sauge. I like to eat there.
No
I drove
parking.
right by. You know why? I couldn't park. You know what I mean? And it hurts me because I want to patronize everybody. I want to go to. I love to eat. I mean, eating and drinking is
we all do.
I love doing it the most. You know what I mean? But it shames me that sometimes you just got to drive by because there's no place to park, and it's very frustrating to me that because I'd like to spread the love everywhere. So again, back to infrastructure, back to the city. Let's talk about some of the infrastructure and properties of the city. I know a lot of the mills, right? These mills are old, decrepit. What do you think, city councilman, right? What do you think we should do to remedy this, right? Because some of these places are contaminated. Some of these places can be rebuilt. What's the plan? Where do you start first?
Well, it depends which mill we're talking about. There are some that should be definitely torn down immediately. Not only are they ugly, they're dangerous in terms of pollution. They're contaminated.
Yeah. Never mind, God forbid if they catch fire. Never mind that.
Never mind that.
Right.
Some of it, I just drove by one and I was looking at it, the corner of Rodman and Plymouth Avenue. That place has been there for years, doing nothing.
Nothing.
I don't understand why it takes so long to turn down a building.
Right.
If the building is not livable, does not meet the requirements of the city in terms of safety and so forth, knock it down.
And that's prime real estate. That's prime real estate.
Of course
over there.
it is.
To the right, if you get to the right buyer, you get to the right investor, that's
right at the corner, the
right?
busiest corner in the city.
I mean,
mind you,
right?
I don't understand.
And so I think that's opportunity, right? That's low-hanging fruit opportunity for somebody like you.
It is an opportunity to take over and knock it down, and there's a great piece of real estate that anybody would put their money in, but not the way it is.
No, right.
So the city has to do something in order to get the investors to invest their money.
So do you think means of ways is taxes? Do you think is it less taxes? Is it more taxes? Is it balancing and saying, hey, the businesses pay a little bit more and carry more this way? Because, we do have the juggernauts. We have the Amazons, right? We have these big corporations.
But Amazon doesn't give us anything.
Nothing. So my point in saying that is how do we leverage that, Louis? How do we bring some of this in?
Well, you do it from the beginning. I know that there were negotiations prior to Amazon coming in. But then we give up the house. We give up everything. You can't do that. I mean, I can understand a break in order to bring big business that's going to create lots of jobs.
Sure.
But not 100%.
Right.
Because what happens is after 10 years, they'll close and go away to another town. And then we have another empty building and we got zero for tax money.
Yeah.
It's not the way to do it. Again, I go back to the same thing. Negotiation is the principle of everything. You got to begin there.
Yeah. So what other industries do you think we could bring into the city? Do you have any aspects of maybe like other corporations, renewable energy? Is there any of that?
High tech.
Yeah.
There's plenty of that around the Boston area.
Yep.
And it's a lot cheaper down here than it is in the Boston area.
Right.
So it's not a hard sell, but you got to have the real estate appropriate for that.
Mm-hmm.
You got to have educated community, which we don't at this moment.
Mm-hmm.
And we've got to have people willing to negotiate with them. You got to go after them. I know we have a couple of people in town that do that for a living, but not enough.
Mm-hmm.
Not enough. We're, I believe, over 100,000 people. Some people think we're still 90,000, 92,000. I don't believe that.
Right.
I think we're way over 100,000 people right now.
Well, if people aren't showing up to vote, they're not filling out the census. You know what I mean? Right? Like, I mean, it's safe to say, like, you know, that they're really not doing that.
I don't know about voting because I don't know who votes.
Mm.
Anybody can walk in and vote, basically.
True. A little bit, since we're on this topic, can we talk a little bit about the cannabis industry, right? Do you feel that we should be generating more revenue from that? Do you feel that there should be more checks and balances from that project? And also, you know, if you're a city councilman, do you think issuing more cannabis licenses is a good idea?
I don't think so. I don't think so. I think we have too many as it is. I know there's some medicinal value to those products, but I don't believe the majority of people go there because of it. Unfortunately, I think, and I'm not an expert at that, but I think that that's the beginning of a lot of bad things.
Okay.
The use of marijuana, for example, may not be really bad by itself, but it seems to me over the years it's a beginning for something bad. Not for everyone, but for a lot of people.
Okay.
And then you question the homeless. Why do we have so many homeless people? And the majority of the answer is because of drugs. Alcohol, some of it, but mostly drugs. So I wouldn't support anything that would lead a young man or a young lady into drugs eventually.
So, great segue. Homeless. Obviously, this is a very big topic for the city. I think a lot of people might take advantage of this topic for their own purposes, you know, to push a narrative. I will say that from my point of view in optics, for example, you know, when they did that operation cleanup and, you know, they arrested all these people, you know, I understand that something needs to be done. I get that. I'm a realist. I understand that you just can't let things be. But I also understand that, you know, planning for these things is very, very important. And understanding, look, if you start something, you realize how it's going to finish, right? And I think there was a lot of thought in how they were going to execute, but the end product, I don't know, worked out the way that they wanted it
wasn't
to.
designed at all.
Right. And so, you know, now you got these people that you just displaced again. They're wandering around. A lot of them have mental health issues.
Sure.
Louis, how do we combat that? Where do we start?
Well, first of all, that's not a city problem. It's a state problem, and it's becoming an American problem. The reasons are various and sometimes very difficult to comprehend. But we have to fight it at the local level. But we need to. We must require that the state contributes to that area in terms of money, because it costs money. You need to have people trained to know what to do with those people after you apprehend them. You can't just go there, grab them, and then do nothing.
Exactly.
Because they go right back.
Right.
There's got to be a program designed by experts, which I'm not, that takes them from whatever they are into a normal life. And that takes various steps and sometimes a lot of years. But it is what it is.
Right.
If you don't start fighting it, you're not going to win the war.
Right. A couple of years back, Taunton, that's where the state mental hospital was located.
Right.
I had a good friend that worked there, and
I had two sisters that worked there.
He said to me, Bobby, one day they told us, just, we're done. It's over. And he says, we opened the doors, and we just let people walk out of the building.
So that goes to meet what I just said about the state being responsible for most of it. Because the state did that in Taunton and a couple other cities in Massachusetts.
Yes.
And the majority of those people end up on the street. Maybe not immediately, but within a few weeks, a couple of months, they end up in the street. And what we see today is still remnants of those. It's still part of that. As well as I said, the use of paraphernalia, drugs, that got them into those situations.
So I had Nikki Fontaine sitting in here. She's an amazing human being. I appreciate her journey. And, you know, she provides a lot of support for these people.
Right.
But, you know, and I always say this only on the argument side of this. And some will say people come here because they know they'll get the help, right? And I don't say we don't help people, right? But how do you manage that? How is it to say, hey, listen, don't come here. Like don't come here because we can't provide you with any more support. We have our own people to take care of. And then she mentioned that, you know, a lot of these people coming in for the sober houses, right? They come in for the sober house, they stay a little bit, and then they leave, and they don't go back to where they came from. Like they're coming from Lowell, they're coming from all these other places. And you know, Frank Lewis, what do you do? Like once they're here, how do you throw them out? Like how does that work? I know that's a hard question. I don't want to put you on the spot.
No, it's
but
okay.
like just
It's
in
okay.
conversation, man. You know.
And I'm giving you answers as a regular citizen.
Sure, exactly.
Because
Yeah.
I
Right.
don't know what the answers are.
Yeah.
But I believe I go back to the state. If the state could afford for years to have hotels filled with people that weren't mentally ill, that didn't belong here, that came here illegally,
Gift cards.
why doesn't the state spend money in supporting those issues of the homeless, how to treat them, how to feed them, and eventually how to housing them? It's the state's responsibility.
Do you think the state even has oversight over that? Like, do you think they even see it? Right? Because, you know, we see it. We're here. You can drive down the street and you can see it.
Absolutely.
But where's the state? Right? Where is everybody? Right?
Right. They're not here.
Right? And so I guess I mentioned this
But that's why we have people representing us at the State House.
Okay.
Those are our eyes. And then the numbers speak for themselves.
Okay.
We have people like the lady you just spoke about that was here who pretty much know how many people, you know, within a certain number live in the city, on the streets of the city, if you will. That needs to be transmitted to the state. Because I go to Boston a lot. And yeah, you go to Dorchester, Roxbury, you see a few. But you go to the nice areas of Boston, you don't see any.
Right.
And it's not that they don't want to be there. It's because they're not allowed there.
Right.
They moved into the poor neighborhoods.
Yes.
And the same thing is happening to Fall River people.
Oh, of course. Yeah. There's no homeless people in the Highlands. Like I speak,
Exactly.
Lewis, I speak truth. Like
I know.
we speak truth here. And I drive the Highlands, and my mom is like right on Robeson Locust Street over there. And if I go up Highland Avenue, I don't see anybody homeless. I don't even get to Robeson, like the bottom of Robeson Street where I'm hitting Bedford, and there they are. You know what I mean?
Well,
And so
I don't know if you want to get into the issue north and south, because the north end and south end, it's two different cities.
well, tell us about it.
Well,
Tell us
first of all, infrastructure. You know, I drive around the north end. I've been doing that a lot. The streets are beautiful. I see no trash. You drive from, say, President Avenue south, it's a complete different world. Why? Is it because most of the city councilors and mayors have been from the north end? It could be. I don't know, but it's up to the voters to decide.
But it's so clear.
It's so obvious.
It's so obvious.
It sure is.
Right? It really, really is. You know, and I think once we need to get past that, right? So it's the house on the hill. We need to get past that and realize that we are one city. You know what I mean? We are absolutely one city. I believe it was a city council meeting, maybe 2 council meetings prior. A young woman was on there. She's like, hey, I ride my bike everywhere. She's like, I ride my bike all over the city. She goes, and I see the homelessness, and I see the poverty, and I see the trash everywhere else except the Highlands.
Right.
She goes, when I drive through the Highlands, there's none of it anywhere. You know what I mean? I mean, not to beat this to the ground here, but
I know. I don't want to do that either.
But it's important.
It's a fact.
It's important in its facts. And I think if we're going to get to solutions, right? If someone like you is going to have an opportunity to sit in one of those 9 seats and be like, hey, look, we just said it. The state doesn't have visibility on what's really happening in the city, so they don't do anything about it. Like, is it true that maybe our city councilmen and our representatives don't have sight of what's actually going around the whole city? You know, are they actually driving around the city and hitting these potholes? Do they actually realize how much money it's costing the taxpayers because every one of these emergency vehicles is driving over these potholes and ball joints and tires and rims? Like, the money just keeps going and going.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
and it's gotten worse. It's gotten worse, and I don't see, and I go to some city council meetings, I don't see any discussion about infrastructure. How we're going to build something so you can turn left coming down Robertson Street into Bedford Street, as that if was necessary as much as fixing, say, Rodman Street, for example.
Goodness, Columbia Street is
Columbia
a
Street.
disaster.
Which should be one of the prime streets in the city.
100%.
A street that tells me something about my own culture.
Pride.
And I drive by and it's a shame the way it is.
Yep.
Now there's talk that they're going to fix it. It's going to take 2 years. I don't understand why it takes 2 years to fix such a small
Agreed.
street.
And in my opinion, it should have never got this bad.
That's right.
And I had Coogan. He was sitting there, and Mayor Coogan said, I went to the bishop and I said, hey, I'm going to buy that piece of land from you. And he's like, why? He goes, because it's a disaster. We have to do something with it.
Mm-hmm.
So you're telling the bishop we're going to buy it because we want to take care of it. It shouldn't be that way. I grew up, my vavou in the house across the street from where we are right now.
Mm-hmm.
I remember my vavou by the hand walking down the Columbia Street. Every year, for every feast, we supported and we were a part of that. I felt like I was a part of something. It was beautiful. It was amazing. And now we're so detached from that. The pride isn't what it used to be. And I think, having people like yourself that are very deep-seated in that Azorean culture and where you're from, I think it matters. I think we need to have people that are connected to the community.
It's my culture, and it's the culture of Fall River. We used to look at Columbia Street as, wow, that's the top.
Yes.
That's the top.
Yes.
The shops, the street
People
itself.
would come from everywhere. New Jersey would come here
to look at it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now everybody's going to New Jersey.
Yeah. It's amazing.
Right.
It was abandoned by the people who run this city. And I'm not talking about the ones who are there now. I'm talking about over the years.
Yes. Yes.
And I don't like it. Don't like it at all. We need to work on it immediately.
Mm.
And Columbia Street is not the only area. There's more areas.
Sure.
But that's prime territory in the city.
Yes.
People come from outside to go to Columbia Street.
Yes.
To go to Nobrigas, to buy chorizo, Shab's Market.
Absolutely.
Or Santo Cristo's Church.
Yes. To me, Louis, it's a lot like going to a restaurant, right? So in the world of social media, everybody that goes to a restaurant now is like, hey, look at my food. Hey, look at my drinks. Oh, look, this is my waiter. This is my, right? They take pictures, right? Yeah. When you come to the city, you go to Columbia Street. If there's a feast, people are taking pictures. Hey, check it out. Look at this. You're literally sharing. You're advertising for the city. Nobody's doing that.
Well, the other day, during the Holy Ghost Feast, I marched from the Portes de Ciudad to Kennedy Park. And coming up Columbia Street, I realized more than ever, driving is one thing, walking is another. It's really sad the way it is. Really sad.
Yeah.
And trashy.
Yeah.
Even in a day like Holy Ghost Feast,
yes,
which brings tons of people to Fall River, it wasn't clean.
My mom said, Bobby, tashkisir.
I think that's the word.
Right. They just forgot it.
That's basically the word.
They left it there.
Indeed.
Yeah. And so, I mean, you can't even get a wheelchair down there because the sidewalks are so bad. You know what I mean? But again, not to beat it down, but I think these are things that are very, very important. On that note, Louis, what would you like to see come back to the city? I know I'm a big fan, and I miss Fall River Celebrates America. I think that used to be such an amazing event. Do you see that coming back? Do you see other things happening?
I'm glad you asked that. I was president of the PBA, Portuguese Business Association.
Yeah.
We were 90% of that feast. We organized quite a bit. I want it back.
Yeah. Well, thank you, because I loved it. It used to be my favorite.
I want to see it back. Yeah. People enjoyed. It was fun. The parades, the waterfront, and we give up for no reason at all. Mm-hmm. When I say we, I mean the city, basically.
Yeah, I think that all happened. I know that it was Officer Megan. I think there was that accident where he fell, and they were saying, "Hey, just too much violence, and we're not gonna." I don't know what that means. I think you're giving in when you submit and you give in to that. You're just as bad as it. So.
I don't remember all the details as far as the officer is concerned, but I don't think it was violence. I think
he fell. Yeah, he fell.
Which can happen to anybody.
But I guess he was chasing somebody. I think it was an event that took place, and because the event took place. But still, I don't think it's a good reason to. If anything, we honor Officer Megan, and we continue to do that. And the city continues to not only generate an amazing amount of revenue.
I'm going to tell you, I would like to see that come back. Forever Celebrates America. And I'm going to do everything I can, if I get in, to make sure that we don't have to pay police to have the Holy Ghost at Kennedy Park. That's ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they work 3, 4, 5 days.
Yeah.
Lots of people
Sure.
to pay the police.
Yeah. Yeah.
When actually we pay the police all year long.
Yeah, right.
It should be free.
Right. I think so too.
As far as I'm
I think
concerned.
so. I think the vendors should benefit from that. I think
Absolutely.
the culture, it shouldn't be that way. I think the city should provide that as, hey, welcome. We appreciate you. We want to have you here. I agree. I think that'd be a great idea. We pay so many taxes. Why not for that?
Why not have that?
Yeah.
If we can double our budget in less than 5 years, we're doing pretty well, supposedly.
Yeah.
Where's the money going? I don't know. That's another story. Excuse me. But we certainly could and should be able to afford that. No question in my mind.
Yeah.
And I'm going to do everything I can to bring Fall River Celebrates back, as well as have a Holy Ghost where they don't have to worry about paying the police. Because I believe it was $30,000, which is amazing.
Yeah. Even I think you could even if you wanted to, the sheriff's department is always offering, right?
Absolutely, yes.
The sheriff's department is like, hey, we're here. We have canines. We'll go to any event.
Everything.
They'll do it for free. And I think building those relationships and tapping into that.
That goes back to negotiating with unions.
Yeah.
The police union.
Yes.
You need to sit down and say, look, in order for us to continue to have these types of festivities for the citizens, we can afford to be paying police.
Yeah. Right.
So there's got to be a combination of police and sheriff's department, so that if it's not free, it's at least a lot less money.
Yeah. Why not?
Negotiations again.
And you know what? And you make it like a training operation. You know what I mean? You can use it for a training operation. So it's 2025, Louis. You're city councilman. What do you see for the city? What are your passions? What would you like to do first? What's the first thing you're going to hit?
Well, 2026.
2026. I'm sorry. Yes, 2026.
Well,
I think November is 2025.
One of my top priorities is safety.
Okay.
With everything that's going on, safety is paramount. The police, the fire department, and EMS should at all times be fully functional in terms of staff and in terms of budget. No question in my mind. That's always number one. Because without safety, you might as well forget about it.
So EMS, because I think that's a great thing for the city, right? So
of course it is.
People don't know Fall River has their own EMS, and it generates quite a bit of revenue.
Of
right?
course.
One thing I will say, and this is just us talking. I wasn't planning on mentioning this. I will say that I think it's very sloppy the way that the city council currently manages a lot of our real estate, right? The things, the leases and the things that we negotiate, I think we do it very foolishly. I think we waste a lot of money. And, and I only bring this up because that whole EMS and that whole lease with that building, just buy the building at this point. You know what I mean? Like,
absolutely, yeah.
You got to work something out because then it takes the fire out of it, right? Like,
well, let me say this. I don't think that it's in a meeting every 2 weeks or once a month you're going to resolve things. You got to spend a lot more time at City Hall and organize those types of things. To go to a meeting and just vote yes or no, you're not really doing anything for the city. You have to work on it all the time, every day.
Sure.
It's not a 3-hour a month job as some people take it.
Right.
It's not.
Right.
It's a full-time job as far as I'm concerned. And now that I've said that, I'm also going to say that I am a serious believer in term limits.
Okay.
I think that every political office should have a term, whether it's 4 years, 6 years, to be negotiated.
Mm-hmm.
But to spend a lifetime as a part-time city councilor, it makes absolutely no sense. Or to spend more than, say, 6 years as a mayor, to me, makes absolutely no sense.
Mm-hmm.
It is that way by the Constitution with the President of the United States.
Yeah.
It should be with everybody else.
How about raises? Where should that come from? From the people?
Raises for
city councilmen.
There shouldn't be any. It's a part-time job. There shouldn't be any benefits whatsoever, as far as I'm concerned. Political offices or political jobs should not be careers. Should be a service to your community, to your country, like the military is to the country. It should not be a place where you go to earn money or to earn medical benefits, whatever it is. None of that. It should be not there.
Unfortunately, I think a lot of it is that.
Well, I know it is, but it shouldn't be.
Yeah, it shouldn't be. You're
it
absolutely
shouldn't
right.
be.
You're absolutely right.
One of the reasons I'm so excited about this opportunity is because I'm retired. I can work at it full time.
Sure.
And I love to do it because I got the energy. I believe the know-how and the experiences, lifetime experiences that can definitely help the city.
Do you conversate now with the current city council? Do you have conversations with them now?
Absolutely, yeah.
Who do you enjoy talking to? Who do you enjoy having conversations with? This isn't a trap question. This is about the person.
I enjoy talking to the mayor. Yeah. I enjoy talking to Raposo. I talk to Linda Pereira quite a bit. I talk to Ponte. I enjoy. Some of them you never see in the city. You see them at city council meeting, that's it.
Yeah.
I mean, as far as I'm concerned, that's not the way to be a city councilor. You got to show up at events, important events for the community. Yeah. And they don't at all. You know, it's like a clique of sorts that secluded somewhere in the city, maybe in the North End, and we don't see them at all. Yeah. And that bothers me because you should be visible everywhere.
Yeah. Well, the truth is I never like to jump to conclusions, but, we mentioned earlier 7% of people showed up to vote. And the reason I think 7% showed up is because the other 93% don't know who's running. They don't know who their candidates are. David came to me a couple months ago and said, Bobby, listen, the concept of the show, the journey, success, all that. Let's apply that to what's currently happening in the city. What if we show the citizens who these people really are? Have them come into the show and have a conversation and say, who are you?
Exactly.
Right? Instead of, hey, these are your numbers and this is what I stand for. No, let's have a conversation. Let people hear your voice. How do you feel? What are some of the struggles that you've come across in your life, right? What builds you?
Listen, I go everywhere. I tell everyone who I am. I try to. Yeah. I was just a couple of days ago at a huge event with a fundraiser of funds for the Portuguese monument in Newport. And I'm not from Rhode Island, but I went because I care. Yeah. It's part of our culture.
Sure. Sure.
I go to every event in the city. Sometimes too many, but I do go.
Yeah,
all
but
the
it's
time.
important. You're building relationships, so people know who Louis is. So when I'm sitting in with a ballot, and I see your name, I know the person, right? And I think that's very valuable, and I think it's very important.
I think it is, and I'm certainly doing my best to get that across to the public.
Yeah. Well, I think you're doing a great job, sir.
I appreciate it.
We met, a couple of weeks ago over at Chris's event, and that was wonderful. It's, this is all new for me. You know what I mean? This is something that I love my city, and I'm born and raised here my whole life. Azorian immigrants, I'm the American dream, sir. So I'm so very grateful to be able to sit and have these conversations with people like you. And I sit here and I say to myself, almost shame on me. Why haven't I been doing this much longer? Because I think it's so important and relevant to what's happening in our city now.
And a lot of young people feel like you, that why haven't they been doing this for a long time? Because it's so important.
It's so important.
I think I live the American dream every day. I was 17 when I came here. I worked. I went to school. I was teaching school. Yeah. Next thing I know, I was doing human resources at major employers in Fall River and at a university. It's amazing, what the world can provide for you if you go after things.
Absolutely, if you're willing to take it.
Absolutely,
yes,
yeah. And Fall River was known, and maybe it still is known, as the type of city where people were like that. Mm-hmm. I remember 40 years ago, this city the buildings were dark, and there was not much going on here.
Yep.
And all of a sudden, there was an influx of immigrants and hardworking people, and the city became a total different city. Yeah. And I said, that's the kind of city I want to be in.
Culture, yeah.
Yeah. And all of a sudden, just from the last few years, things are going backwards. Mm-hmm. And it's time to stop it. And I want to be part of that. Part of the group that's going to stop it.
Yeah, make it grow again.
Absolutely.
A lot of people want it. A lot of people are ready to invest. They want to invest in South Main Street. They want to bring their businesses here. Boomer was sitting there going, Bobby, we need rooftop bars. We need people to come in and experience the city like never before. And so let me just real quick, just some fun talk real quick. Madeira, right?
Yes.
So if I was going to visit Madeira, what would I want to do if I go to Madeira Island? Because I'm actually going to the Azores in October. I'm taking my mom for her 81st birthday. And I'm thinking maybe I might go over to take a flight over to.
Well, if you want to see the best of Madeira, you go to New Year's Eve in Madeira. Where there's probably 10 cruise ships, hundreds and hundreds of loads of planes with people. I think Funchal, the city, has about 300 hotels, and they're all booked.
Wow.
I remember last time.
I think I've seen the fireworks. It's in right? It's in
the
that
bay,
yeah, in that bay.
And from the highway above.
That's amazing.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
But Madeira is a beautiful island, just like the Azores. Different because even the Azores, all 9 islands are very different.
Yeah.
I just spent a week in Santa Maria, a week in St. Michael, and I love both of them. Always did, always will.
Yeah.
And Madeira is just as nice.
Well, you have Madeira wine, you have Porto wine.
Oh.
What do you think?
I like Madeira wine and Vinche Santa Maria.
Sport.
Sporting.
I see it.
Why do you think I came in so happy this afternoon?
They
won.
I know. Congratulations. Louis.
By the way,
yes.
I do a lot of sports with kids. Every year, I take teams from America to the Azores for an international tournament.
No kidding.
The biggest international tournament in Portugal takes place in Ponta Delgada in the Azores. And I take teams from New Jersey, Connecticut, Rhode Island. And this year, I'm taking one from Fall River.
Oh, that's amazing.
It is amazing. I'm so happy.
So how do people get involved in that? If the people have children, they want to get involved, how would they do it?
Well, I contacted the Fall River Youth Soccer, and they have traveling teams, and this happens to be kids 11-year-olds, and we're taking the Fall River 11-year-old team to the Azores in April.
That's gonna be amazing.
It's amazing,
Yeah. You know, it's funny. I was there last year, and I went to Revitalize, and they had that brand new soccer field there.
Yes.
And I said, "Wow, it's so strange. They have the soccer field in the middle of the side of a." And they said, "Well, the story is there was actually an avalanche. There was a flood. There was an avalanche.
Some people died, and unfortunately,
like 29 people. Like that avalanche came and like wiped. And then, the thing was, you hear it and you're like, oh wow, it's so tragic. But they say families, complete families, gone. And so in honor of that, they built that soccer field there.
I was there 2 weeks ago at the beach. It was an amazing place, and I was thinking about the same thing.
Right.
What happened? But people moved on, and it's a beautiful place.
Yeah, they did. Because they're resilient. The Portuguese are very resilient. You know what I mean?
Always.
I'm so proud to be Azorean. I mean, listen, I love my country. I'm American, but I love my culture.
Hey, listen,
I love Azores.
So do I. I love the Azores, and I love America.
The comida, man. I love to eat. Come on.
I've done everything I can as a citizen to America. I served 6 years in the military. I taught school.
Yeah.
I worked in mills. What else can I do?
I know, right?
I know what I can do. I can be a city councilor.
There you go. There it is. I love that. Louis, thank you so much for being here, brother. I appreciate it. I hope I can call you friend, sir.
You certainly
Thank you
can.
so much.
Thank you.
Everyone, we really appreciate it. Make sure you go out and vote in November. It's so very important. People like Louis will be putting their hats in the ring to support the city, much needed support for this city, along with 8 other candidates. So make sure you show up. The 7% shit's not acceptable. Everybody needs to show up, right?
Correct. 7% is not acceptable.
Right, it's not. So we can do better, Fall River. And real quick, I'd like to make a really quick announcement. We are very proud to announce that we have our first sponsor, Pinnacle Painting. If you haven't done so already, please go on to the website, The Bobby Kudo Show. We have links set up. David Suze is ready to go. If you mention The Bobby Kudo Show, you'll get 10% off any work he does for you. And believe me, a cut above the rest. Like, you cannot imagine the amazing work that he does. And so, you know what? Go check out his Instagram, because the houses that he's working on are just amazing. So go ahead and give him a look and check it out. And of course, remember to like, follow, and subscribe to the show. We appreciate you, and thank you so much for being here. Remember, always remember, that all roads lead here.